Good evening, my Real News Media TV family. Welcome back to the channel for another news update. And in the news this evening, McNeil selected to represent the PNP in Trelawney Northern, party stalwarts upset. Former Tourism Minister Wickham McNeil has been selected to represent the People's National Party in the Trelawney Northern constituency in the next general election. However, the selection of McNeil, who was a losing PNP candidate in Westmoreland Western in the last general elections, has not found favor with some party stalwarts in the constituency. Desmond Leakey, a former member of parliament for the constituency, expressed disappointment. The party's constitution was thrown out the window. We have 2 qualified applicants, and the party's executive just select a man from outside the constituency, just like that. I am not pleased, he said. Mark Campbell, a former regional chairman, said, "My lips are sealed." McNeil replaces Dennis Meadows, who was removed because of utterances on a political platform in the run-up to the last local government elections, in which he appeared to endorse lottery scamming. McNeil, who was a 5-term MP before being unseated by Moreland Wilson, told the news, let the General Secretary Dayton Campbell confirm that. The General Secretary's phone rang without an answer. Police probing double murder in Berwick, St. Catherine. The Major Investigations Division has launched a probe into the killing of 2 men in Berwick District, St. Catherine on Friday night. The deceased are Jason Brown, a 40-year-old bar operator of Burton District, St. Catherine, and David Clark, otherwise called the Blacks, a 39-year-old laborer of Berwick District. The police say about 11:20 p.m., both men and a bartender were at a bar in Berwick District, which is owned by Brown. The bartender was reportedly in the bathroom when explosions were heard, and both men were found suffering from what appeared to be gunshot wounds. The police were summoned and the scene processed. Jamaica Customs raids a popular corporate-era jewelry store. The Jamaica Customs Enforcement and Investigation Branch swooped down on a corporate-era plaza on Thursday and interrogated operators of a popular jewelry store before seizing a quantity of assorted jewelry. The mid-afternoon operation had passers-by intrigued due to the number of customs officers spread out about the busy commercial hub. The news understands that a notice of detention was served on the entity whose customers, based on social media postings, included high-profile entertainers and the social media influencers. A copy of at least 1 notice was obtained by the news team and states that the goods as at May 16, 2024 were detained on the grounds of invoice investigation. The detained goods were described as assorted jewelry whose import in aircraft or ship entry is listed as unknown. The news gathered that the prices of goods at the establishment are all quoted in United States currency. A stroll to their social media pages showcased a range of media interviews highlighting their luxurious high-end and custom pieces. Attempts to get a comment from the Jamaica Customs proved futile on Friday as the calls to numbers listed for the agency went unanswered. The same happened when attempts were made to get a comment from the establishment in question when calls were placed to a number listed on its Instagram page. There has been speculation on social media that the Jamaica Customs swoop had to do with another store located on the same plaza. Those assertions have not been confirmed by the news team. JTA disappointed after Ministry of Education defaults on promise to pay all teachers who marked the CSEC SBAs. President of the Jamaica Teachers Association, Leighton Johnson, is expressing frustration after the Ministry of Education reneged on its promise to pay all teachers who were engaged in the marking of school-based assessments for last year's Caribbean Secondary Education Certificate examination in April. I can confirm that those monies have not been paid. The ministry made a commitment that was not followed through on, he said. The teachers are upset, the teachers are disheartened. They feel that the ministry doesn't treat anything that has to do with teachers with the level of urgency that it deserves, he added. SBAs are an internal assessment component which consists of a set of assignments carried out by the students following guidelines provided by the Caribbean Examinations Council and assessed by the teacher using criteria provided by CXC. In March, a permanent secretary in the Ministry of Education, Dr. Kassan Troop, told the news that the outstanding payments would be made to teachers by April. She shared that the Education Ministry has funds in hand to pay the 5,300 teachers and was doing calculations to take into account the increase granted last year. The payment for teachers who mark these assessments were increased from $300 to $500 per SBA last year. We have part of it ready, it's budgeted, it's in the budget, we're just waiting for a decision. If we go full rollout for that money outstanding, and then we put some deadlines in for the implementation of the retro, she said at the time. On Friday, Troop told the news that payments are made via the Overseas Examinations Commission directly to teachers based on information submitted to the agency by the schools. She noted that payments are ongoing, but was unable to provide data on how many teachers have been paid so far. Meanwhile, an exam coordinator who requested anonymity told the news that she was informed that payments had been made by the OEC to about 30 schools. But the coordinator said no official word has been forthcoming from either agency as to the further delay for the majority of teachers. Nothing has been said officially to the schools. It's only because people are calling and asking questions about what's been happening, and you're just hearing this bit of information, the coordinator said. Peeved at the silence from the Ministry of Education on the matter, the administrator said it has compounded the frustration of teachers. The teachers work hard. What if the teachers were to say we're not marking any SBA? Then no children wouldn't get no grade. We mark it because it's not the children's fault why the ministry is not holding up their end of the bargain. They don't have any manners, and that's how they have always treated teachers. Like they're going to say, oh, that you make fuss over? The little money? The coordinator continued. Johnson, in the meantime, said the matter will be on the agenda for this month's meeting with the Ministry of Education. Teachers just feel that once it comes to payment, it takes a very long time with the Ministry of Education, and they can't seem to understand why, he said. This lethargic attitude, he contends, is displayed by the ministry in other areas as well when dealing with teachers. Teachers are frustrated at this. We really call on the Ministry of Education to ensure that their HR processes are in keeping with 24th century practices, he said. Principal proposes behavior modification centers to stem student violence. Painting a dismal picture of a future Jamaica, if the prevailing trend of student violence continues unabated, Principal of Spanish Town Primary School, Ruge Curlew, says that there is a dire need for the Ministry of Education to implement a policy that addresses behavior modification for students who generally exhibit violent acts and their parents. He proposed that such students should be separated from regular institutions and placed in behavior modification centers established by the Education Ministry. These centers should be established in clusters across Jamaica and separate students who are violence producers from the rest of the student body and place them in these behavior modification centers, Curlew espoused. Likewise, there should be a corresponding narrative where parents of these students are exposed to workshops on behavior modification to enable them to deal with these children in the home environment. It can no longer be that students who are disruptive, reject discipline, threaten teachers and their peers, involve in gang-related activities, and get into fights that lead to death, that the Ministry of Education put those students back into the institution, and they continue to rub shoulders with the general student population, Curlew told the news. If these measures are not implemented, Curlew forecast a future Jamaica with a graduated set of violence producers who would have acquired their traits in an education system that has failed to provide answers to the problem. Curlew, a former municipal councillor, said the curriculum that will be used in these centers should be similar to those at the age level, whether it be primary or secondary, but there should be more focus on mentorship, uniformed groups such as Boy Scouts and Girl Guides. He argued that community service and restorative justice should be integral to the curriculum in these centers. It is important to note that these centers should be manned by members of the Jamaica Constabulary Force and the Jamaica Defensive Force, in addition to train the teachers of the various subject areas, he said, adding that funding for this initiative should be a priority item in the country's annual budget. Before the latest incident in Manchester on Monday, in which a female student was fatally stabbed and a male student also stabbed and injured in the same incident, figures released by the Ministry of Education revealed that some 50 critical incidents of school violence, including sexual assaults, brawls, and gang violence involving students, were reported between 2022 and 2023. Curlew said the situation has got to the point where teachers are now operating in an atmosphere of fear and are reluctant to intervene to break up fights, not knowing if the students involved will produce a dangerous weapon that could put their lives at risk.